Episode 8. Ballymun come rough, tough like an elephant tusk.
Hello and welcome to the Tactics Board. I'm Emmet Ryan, and today we're going to look at Ballymun's defensive set ahead of this coming Sunday's All-Ireland Club Final, and we're going to look at what St Brigid's or Roscommon need to do to try and overcome it. Well, first off, you can see it's very deep. They keep an 8-man defence pretty much at all times, except when they're going on the counter. We're going to get to that shortly. So what does this allow them to do? Well, they play two sweepers, typically half forwards. They can go out or in. They're pretty much given free license. They don't play one or the other particularly higher or lower. The key point more is to have a supporting man in all positions wherever the attack is going to come from. So that gives them a lot of room, a lot of options really, to play supporting defence. Now for a team like St Brigid's, where they like to have two men up high, we're just going to get rid of this marker for a second here. So they like to have two men up high. Usually it's St Kilbride and Frankie Dolan. Now obviously Dolan and Kilbride, two very different players, two very different roles. Kilbride will be very much the ball winner. He'll be out in the sort of to the right here, so you can expect Ballymun to try and bring in their cornerback here, but that'll give room for the supporting man to go out a bit wide, maybe pull the half back in a bit more, sort of change the formation slightly just to adjust for that. Dolan pretty much could be anywhere from here to here, so that again it'll be a case of rotating where your assignments are. So that's a key point to bear in mind. They'll play two men high, very different positions though, because obviously Kilbride, a more natural ball winner, Dolan very much there as a pure scoring threat. So it's a classic sort of different pair of target men where you got two different roles for the two of them. We're just going to put our players back into their original positions here for a reason. So a lot of teams when they play this set, Kildare in particular, they look for the attack support to come from the halfback, so from these three guys here. But Ballymun are a bit different because they very much play on the counter, like I said before. So you'll see 10 and 11 here going out to try and splinter the attack, and then the halfbacks will come and support. What does this mean? Well, when they go forward, the backs don't really follow them until they've made those breaks, or at least until one of them has made that break. Likewise, going back, their real responsibility is to get back ahead of the halfbacks into defence. The halfbacks naturally will have an ability to get back in position first. So very much the case of making sure you see what assignments are taken, who's got them, and what you need to do to adjust before getting back into the traditional set. Now, all of Ballymun's opponents so far, with one exception for pretty much only half a game, have struggled. And that's because they see the numbers and they don't meet them. The one time we've seen Ballymun in a competitive game where their opponents have really tried to take them on number for number was the second half of the Dublin County Final when Cummaco Crokes were in a huge hole at half time and had no option but to take the huge risk and put 8 men against 8. What it did was it put Ballymun under a lot of pressure because it meant suddenly the two sweepers here couldn't really support attack. That slowed movement immensely. So you got two sweepers who can't support attack. Suddenly your halfbacks are neutralised as well in supporting attack. And it was very effective for Cummaco because it meant they really dominated the territorial battle. We've seen a few teams try and bring numbers for part of the game against Ballymun, but we've seen no one go after them from the start, trying to match those high numbers. And why is that? Well, naturally, they got a dangerous target man up front in Dean Rock, with a real speedster in support in Ted Furman. But both of them, again, neutralised heavily in the second half of that Dublin County Final. So to take on Ballymun, you've got to take risks. You've got to essentially take a really aggressive attacking strategy from the start. If they're putting 8 in the box, you want to be putting at least 7, probably 8 men up front. This might sound a bit irrational exuberance when it comes to attacking, thinking, well, what cover have we got? But remember, the cover you've got is actually dependent on how these 5 players move. And with these two sweepers being the primary sources of attack, if you neutralise them, these 3 guys here largely are forced to stay in defence. So you've got time to get your players back in numbers. So overloading is the key to beating Ballymun. We haven't seen anyone do it yet. For Bridges it would be a massive change in what they normally do, but we saw against Crossmaglen that Bridges are willing to change things up to non-traditional sets. So for Bridges to beat this Ballymun defence, they've got to be aggressive from the start. I wouldn't call it all out attack because it actually is clever defensively because you're removing 5 supporting attackers when you play this attacking strategy. But you've got to be aggressive. You've got to get those bodies into the Ballymun 45 and basically challenge them in the numbers, saying, we're going to go up against you. We're not going to leave men isolated for you to get 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s in easily. Will Bridges do it? Well, that's a big question we'll get to in our preview later in the week. But definitely we have to expect Bridges will try it sometimes to put the number pressure on Ballymun to see if the defence can adapt. Well, that's all we have for this one. Subscribe to us by clicking on my face there in the corner. And as always, follow us on Twitter @Action81. And for now, I've been Emmet Ryan.